Welcome to the Sponsored Rider Club podcast, your guide to motorsports sponsorship. Here's your host, Josh Wiese.
Welcome, everybody, to this episode of the Sponsored Rider Club podcast live experience, which is powered by 4Wheel Parts and also brought to you by Bold Racing. Today, I'm going live on Facebook and also Instagram at the same time. I've tried this once before, and it really messed with my connection. But hey, who learns from these things? Let's just try it again. So if you're listening on Instagram, go ahead and leave your comments. I'll do my best to respond to those. Facebook, though, I got a lot better view of the comment section. So when I see things pop up there, a lot easier for me to respond from that standpoint. Okay. I got a topic I want to cover with you today, and that is it's actually more of a question than a topic. Is the world of motorsports sponsorship big or small? Complete paradox, I know, but honestly, this hit me today. I'll tell you the whole story behind it. It hit me today, and I was like, I don't know the answer to this. I was legitimately shocked today when someone approached me about this, and I didn't know what to say or do. I honestly felt shocked, and I wanted to talk to you all, get your opinions, get your thoughts. But before I get into that, first off, I just got to thank 4Wheel Parts and Bold Racing for allowing these live shows to exist. I don't know how many live shows I've done. I've lost track of them. I probably should track that, but I haven't. But I don't know, maybe 40, 45 or something. And 4Wheel Parts have been a part of a lot of those. Bold Racing has been a part of a lot of those. So I'm excited for that. But looks like we got Chris, Scott, Mark, Ryan. Welcome. Looks like we got on Instagram, JRS Racing, Boggin Chick. That's a cool name. So either way, lots of people starting to hop on here. If you're listening at any point, feel free to tag your friends, respond in the comments, especially for this one, whether it's you're listening to live or in a replay, or if you're listening to audio later, go ahead and shoot me a heads up and just say like, hey, Josh at Sponsored Rider Club Podcast, this is what I think of your show. Looks like Scott, made it into live finally. That's right, Scott. You are watching live. That's awesome. Rohan from Australia has joined us too. Welcome, Rohan. Okay, so the topic, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. Is the world of motorsports sponsorship big or small? This is what hit me today. I had a person I work with walk up to me, and he went to a trade show recently. And it was a bunch of influencers, bunch of media people, all these different representatives in motorsports. And he's like, oh, hey, Josh, like, don't you interview people all the time? I was like, oh, yeah, dude. Like, bruh, I interview so many people. I just know everybody. It's ridiculous. And he showed me this list of like 50 people. I'm not kidding you. It was at least 50 people. And I scrolled through, did not recognize one name. Zero. I'm like, okay, look, the list is probably a misprint, right? Because there's no way that I could recognize absolutely zero. But no, seriously, I went through all of these names, all these different influencers, motorsports vloggers, racers, YouTube people, like all these different things, and I didn't know any of them. Now I went through the names of like companies that they represented. Like, okay, there's Motor Trend, there's some other ones on there. Like, I recognize some of these companies, but some of the companies I didn't even recognize. Like, what just happened here, guys? Like, is this me or is this just the way the world is? Because honestly, on this show, I've talked a lot about the fact that it's kind of a small world. The motorsports sponsorship world is kind of a small world. People joke about the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Like, everybody, if you ask enough questions, like you're going to find out you're related to Kevin Bacon or Kevin Bacon, something like that. Well, in motorsports, we've talked about it being like 1 degree. One person like, oh, yeah, I know this person. And for the most part, with a lot of the shows that I've done, that's been the case. We can make a connection like, oh, yeah, I know you. But today I was like, I don't know these folks. Why don't I know these folks? So I started thinking like, how much of the world, the motorsports sponsorship world, have I missed? How much have we not captured? I don't know. So that's why I wanted to kind of bring it up here. I want to know what your thoughts are. So I'll go through a couple of my arguments I'm basically going to argue against myself for small versus big. And I want to hear your thoughts too. So the first thing here, the first point, I kind of brought this up a little bit, but sometimes it's like every sponsor knows every other sponsor, or they've worked at the same company before, or every racer is like, oh yeah, I was sponsored by that company back in the day, and now I'm sponsored by them, and they're actually brothers. Like I think MBRP and GGB Exhaust are founded by brothers. Like that feels like it's a very small world to me, you know. Uh, so that's one thing. Another one's like racers are just bouncing all over the place between, like, you see a racer, oh yeah, they ran Supercross series, but they also did Baja, and Score series, and they also did GNCC at some point. Like, what the heck? This is a pretty small world. One person, they've done all the other things. So I think that's kind of cool. But that's an argument. It's a small world. That's what I've always said. It's a small world. Now here's the craziest one. I don't understand how this happened either, but I'll walk over to somebody or just walk into a crowd at some sort of event, and people are like, "Hey, it's Josh. What's up, Josh from Sponsored Rider Club Podcast?" And I'm like, "Oh, like, I know I'm a big deal. I know, but no, seriously, I'm not, and I don't. I'm surprised when people know my name and they've listened to my show. Even just at Vegas Reno recently, I walked up to someone, Ryan Edwards at Raceline, and I was like, "Hey, what's up, Ryan?" He's like, "Oh, Josh, man, I liked your last show you did." I was like, "What?" So it's a small world, right? That's a small world. So I don't know what you think about that, but those are just some of my arguments for motorsport sponsors of a small world. Now going back to this big world thing, okay? First off, there's like a gazillion racers, influencers, there's sponsors, companies, there's a million of them out there. I'm on Instagram, and I'm checking out different profiles, and I'm like, have I ever seen this profile before? I think I'm following like a billion people on Instagram right now, and I don't even know them. It's crazy, and I haven't even scratched the surface of how many people I could be interacting with on social media, which makes me like super stressed when I think of sponsors trying to make decisions with all these influencers and racers and all these other people out there. So either way, that's an argument for it's a big world out there. I can't even possibly think of following all the people that I could possibly need to follow. It looks like we got on Instagram too, Chris the Sled Guy. That's a cool name too. Caden Danbury, what's up? Side by side guys. Katie Body Kits. Yeah, it's brutal. Right on. So but that's an argument for it's just a massive world out there. You can't even keep up with all the people. And there's somebody joining every day. Every day there's another influencer out there that's doing a Jeep build or, a new UTV racer, a new quad racer, or, a new drifter, whatever. There's always somebody new. It's like, man, this is massive. The world is massive. And then there's new companies every day. I'm like, oh, that's a new overland company, or that's a new tire company, or it's nonstop. Like, this is a massive, massive world. Like, there's no way I could possibly know all of the companies out there that sponsor other people. And if I did, for some magical reason, figure that out, like, how would you track all that? Like, how things change so fast, It's crazy, but looks like we got UTV Sports Mag joined. What's up? Oh, look, I can wave at you too. I'm gonna wave at you. Hey, oh, that's fun. Sorry, Facebook, you're not getting any waves right now because I don't really know how to do that on Facebook. But either way, I think that's an argument for it being a big world. It's like there's just a new company joining every day. Racer Wreck, what's up? So yeah, I lost my train of thought here. What was I talking about? I got so excited about waving at people on Instagram, like I can't even focus on the actual content that you're here to listen to. Okay, the next piece here for it's just a big world is that there's like a new podcast or media thing every day too, which I love. Gives me more stuff to pay attention to, or I've even been on a couple of these other shows recently, which is awesome. But everybody out there is making their own brand and building an audience. It's gotten big, and it's gotten so big that it's crowded. It's crowded. You don't even know how to reach people anymore on social. At least I don't. And it's, actually UTV Sports Mag, we've been talking a little bit about growth in the UTV industry. The industry has seen some incredible growth, and with it comes growth in media and influencers. Generally, that's a good thing, but not always. And I completely agree with that. Like, for me, it's exciting, right? I mean, I got a potential for a bigger audience. I've got more people to interact with. That's fun. That's exciting to me. But at the same point, I'm like, holy cow, how do we reach these people? Especially with all these other influencers and racers and everybody out there producing content. It's like we're all on the same team and trying to grow the sport, but we're all kind of competing for other people's attention too. So yeah, I guess I've just made way more arguments for it being a big world than a small world. But what do you think? Like, I want to hear your thoughts, whether it's in the comments now or coming back later. Looks like Rob Spencer's like, not me. Like, I'm a slacker. Like, hey, I know you're not a slacker, bud. Like, if anybody thinks Rob Spencer's a slacker, you got another thing coming. But I appreciate your comment, Rob, and you acting like you're a slacker. But yeah, I want to hear your thoughts. Is it a big world? Is it a small world? Why? So either on here, comment on here, hit me up on Josh at sponsoredriderclubpodcast.com or any of the social media things. You can slide into my DMs. That's cool. So yeah. All right. That was like phase one of this podcast here. I do have another quick topic I want to go through. A little bit shorter one, but I would love to get your help. I actually need some help on this. So what I need from you all listening right now is to figure out, are you running Eaton products on your stuff? That's question one. That means differentials, superchargers, anything that's Eaton related that you've put on your vehicles, specifically for SEMA builds. Because basically the reason I'm asking is I'm going to be at SEMA Tuesday and Wednesday of the first week in November, and that it's going to be Tuesday is the 5th of November, Wednesday is the 6th of November. I'll be there all day with Eaton, and we're looking for people to interview. People have used Eaton products. Maybe it's a True Track or Detroit Locker or something like that you've installed in your vehicle. If you've done that and you want to talk about it, let me know, and we might be able to do an interview. No guarantees. But again, hit me up, Josh at sponsoredriderclubpodcast.com, and we can talk. So if you are running some sort of Eaton product, and that includes like Magnuson, for example, uses Eaton rotating groups in their superchargers, that works too. So either way, any of those things, let me know, and we can talk. And then it looks like I did just quickly see a message. I think this is on Instagram here. This is from JRS Racing 34. I want to make sure I hit this before I lost the question. Does it really help to have the flashy racer resume? For me, I think the answer is yes. Any way to stand out, that's what it's all about. I mean, we use a company, TopThePodium.com. That's who's they've been a sponsor of the show since episode 6. This one I think is gonna be 190. And they do racer resumes, and they're a good partner for that reason, because it makes sense in pretty much every avenue. It's just one other way to promote yourself. And the flashier it is, I shouldn't just say flashy, but the better that it represents you and your brand, and the more professional it looks, the crisper it is, I think just shows better. For you, JRS Racing 34, if you got more questions on that, let me know. Or you hit up topthepodium.com. Jeff's over there. He could set you up. And let's see, just got a couple quick comments before I get back to the SEMA thing. KBD Body Kits just had a comment. Then there's the guy that gets the sponsored a shirt, and all of a sudden they want thousands in parts. Yeah. There is this spoof Instagram profile out there right now that I encourage everybody to go look at. It's called Are You Sponsored? It's like one word, the letter R, the letter U, sponsored, all lowercase. And they just get these random requests of sponsor pitches, and I don't know how they're soliciting all this stuff, but it's ridiculous what some of the people put on there, and they expect hey, I got 10 followers, I want 20 grand worth of stuff for my truck bill. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Either way, looks like Rob Spencer put another comment on here from Registered Wild. He said, okay, here's my take. If a person just does him and people are into it, the platform is designed to consume, that means there's room for us all. So I misread most of that because I could barely see the words. but yeah, he's basically saying like the platforms are designed to handle this stuff, and based off of the way that like the algorithms work, if you like a certain type of content, you're going to be presented with that content. So there's room for us all, and there's enough platforms out there with new ones coming on board too, where you have different ways of sharing your content. For me, like my main platform, I do the Facebook Lives. I started doing the Instagram Lives a little bit here. But my main platform is still the audio podcast. So when this will get released as an audio podcast, I get far more exposure, downloads, impressions, whatever you want to call it, from my audio than I do on social media or anything else. So that's still definitely my primary platform right now. But I got into it, 2.5, 3 years ago. Even when I got into that, it was probably a little late. But I was able to get a little bit of an audience at that point. But yeah, that's a good comment there, Rob. Yeah, so let's see. Check it to see if I got any more comments here. Looks like Travis, Mark, Ryan. Wow, we're getting a few comments here. Travis, I'm talking to Ryan right now. I'll let him know you're making him famous. Right on. So Mark Shea just said, it's a small world within each niche, large world overall across motorsports. If it has a motor, they are racing it. That's a good way of putting it, because a lot of my experience has been with honestly with UTVs, just because I got involved with some of the desert racing UTV stuff, and I've spent a lot of time with the UTV racers as a result. So most of my audience tends to be UTV, and that's a lot of the people that I do know. So when I venture into some of the other worlds, I'm like, ooh, I just don't feel as comfortable in those worlds. I just don't know them yet. But yeah, I think that's a well put, Mark. If you look at the full motorsports, there's just a ton. But yeah, from a niche standpoint, if you're just in the UTV, just in the backcountry snowmobiling or something like that, the world gets a little bit smaller, and then you can build those relationships pretty quickly. So Ryan Ruth, what's up, Ryan? Hey, congrats, man. You've been doing pretty good on the quads recently. Yeah, so Ryan was just saying, interesting topic. He's getting more and more involved with racing, and I have seen that, Ryan. Like, you've taken it to the next level. He's trying to get more sponsors. So yeah, for you, Ryan, looking at this as the ATV world is one of those smaller niche worlds, like to Mark Shea's point. So you can start like learning and meeting all those different people in that community pretty quickly, and start building those relationships quickly. If you start expanding out the rest of the motorsports world, it might get a little overwhelming at first. But Steve Hollowell, you want to be on the show, huh? Hey, Steve. All right, in case I lose this, shoot me an email, and let's keep connected just in case, because in case I missed your comment later. But hey, I appreciate that. And then it looks like Matt Gerald. When am I coming to Crandon or Bark River? I have not been to either yet. I need to get to those. They're on my list. They're on my bucket list of things I want to get to and see. So soon. I just don't know when. I don't actually have anything scheduled yet. Right now, I'm just trying to get the SEMA thing taken care of. Trying to get some people lined up for interviews for SEMA. I'm pretty excited about that. If you're gonna be at SEMA, head over to the Eaton booth. I might be there. My role is going to be doing some interviews there, and I'm going to be roaming around as well, doing some mobile interviews. So if you're there, try to find me, swing over to the Eaton booth, or if not, just look for me roaming around. I'm super pumped about SEMA. I've never been there before. Everybody keeps telling me that it's way bigger and better than I can imagine. And I can imagine it being pretty doggone big. So I guess that goes back to the question of, is it a big world or small world? Like, I'm about to find out for real at SEMA, because I've heard it's straight crazy. But well, cool. Hey, I appreciate everybody hopping on tonight, asking the questions. If you got more questions, feel free to keep leaving them in these comments, or again, hit me up on email or somewhere else on social media. Head over to iTunes, also known as Apple Podcasts too, and leave a rating and review for the show. That would be phenomenal. That's a huge way to gain more exposure for the show. It's a huge way, actually. I cannot overemphasize this. Like, it's huge. It's very important. So please head over and do that. And then subscribe. Whatever podcast player you use, there's like Podbean now. There's Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Play. I'm on all of them. Subscribe to whatever one you like best, and you won't miss the shows in the future. All right, well, that is it. I am going to leave you all with this. Have fun and ride safe.